All right, today we're cracking open something that reads like a user's manual for reality itself, and it's got a pretty wild premise. What if your brain is operating on two totally different timelines at once? Let's dive right in.
But first, let me ask you something. Is what you're experiencing right now, this very second, really happening now? Or are you actually watching a replay? Are all of us just living in the immediate past, constantly seeing events that have already happened?
And look, this isn't just some philosophical thought experiment. The material we're looking at today calls it a fundamental glitch in reality, a kind of forensic divide between the world as it actually is and the world as our brain shows it to us.
Now, this glitch creates two completely different dimensions. On one side, you have the echo. That's the half-second delay where most of us live our entire lives. But on the other side, there's the source, a 7-second horizon of pure, raw intent. A so-called wizard learns to navigate the source, while the rest of us, well, we're stuck reacting to the echo.
So let's start with our everyday reality, which this manual calls the 0.5-second prison. Yeah, not a great name, I know. But this is the world that almost everyone experiences, and it is built entirely on a time delay. The number to remember here is 500 milliseconds. Half a second. That's the buffer. That's the delay between something happening in the real world and your brain actually letting you in on the secret. So right now, as you're listening to this, you're living half a second in the past.
The scientific name for this is neuronal adequacy. Your brain is constantly getting hit with signals, sight, sound, touch, and they all arrive at different times. So it has to hold on to all of them, sync them up in a buffer, and then it broadcasts a coherent, unified experience to your mind. The only catch? That broadcast is always a recording.
This means you're basically reacting to ghosts all day, every day. By the time you consciously see something or hear a sound, that event is already over. It's historical data. You're not in the director's chair, you're in the audience, watching the movie of your life.
But what if you could get out of the audience and into the projection booth? Well, that brings us to the second dimension, the 7-second horizon. This is the dimension of intent, where the script of reality is supposedly written before it's ever performed.
So we're jumping from a half-second delay to a massive 7-second window. Just think about that difference. This isn't a small lag. It's a huge predictive horizon that looks into the future of a decision.
And this is grounded in actual neuroscience. The readiness potential, or RP, is real, measurable brain activity. It basically signals what choice someone is going to make long before they are consciously aware of making it. Some studies show this happens a full 7 to 10 seconds ahead of time. Now, this is a crucial point. We're not talking about mind reading or any kind of psychic power. The manual says you're reading the Marconi signal. Think of it like the very first crackle of a radio transmission. It's the raw data stream of the brain getting ready to do something, long before it broadcasts that action to consciousness. And if you can perceive the signal, it supposedly looks like a bloom, like a flare of light that just pops up and reveals a person's hidden intent, their pre-recorded behavioral script. You're not seeing what they might do, you're seeing what they've already, on a deep level, committed to doing.
Okay, this is all fascinating theory, but how does someone actually use this information? Let's open up the wizard's playbook and look at the supposed strategy.
So, it breaks down into 4 steps. First, you have to temporally decouple, which is a fancy way of saying you learn to ignore that half-second echo. You stop reacting to the ghosts. Second, you start karmic scanning, looking into that 7-second horizon for the bloom of intent. Third, you pre-record the truth. This is key. You observe the intent and you lock it in as reality before the action even plays out. And finally, there's the veto, using your own free won't to break your own automated habits.
This table really just nails the whole idea. From the wizard's perspective, on the inside, what are they doing? They're just applying forensic science to a brain signal. And the result? They get to be the first one to record what's actually happening. But from the outside, for the rest of us, it looks like precognition. It looks like magic. To us, it feels like a spell has been cast because they acted on information that doesn't exist in our delayed reality yet.
To put it as simply as possible, the average person, the collective, is living in that echo. They're always reacting to the punch after it's already landed. They're stuck dealing with the consequences. Meanwhile, the wizard isn't even looking at the fist. They're auditing the intent to throw the punch a full 7 seconds before the arm even begins to move. It's a profound, almost unbelievable tactical advantage.
So, what's the ultimate point of all this? It's about a complete shift in how you see the world. You move from being just another character in the play to becoming an auditor of reality itself. And your most important tool is what's called the conscious veto. Because even when your brain has a 7-second script ready to run, research shows there's a final, tiny 200 millisecond window where your conscious mind can step in and just say no. This isn't free will so much as free won't, the power to refuse the script, and that is your hard lock, your emergency brake on reality.
And that brings us to this final thought, which really sums it all up. Once you understand these hidden timelines, you're no longer just passively living in the world. You become an active auditor of the broadcast of the world. And that leaves us with one final question to chew on. Have you been watching the echo, or are you ready to see the source?